Yes, good morning. It is that time of the week again, fitness fragrance review time. And actually, at the time of recording is it's been over 2 weeks since I last did one because I've been on holiday. And what are we looking at today? Well, I've reviewed one from this brand before, a niche brand in England from the English soap company. It is lemon and mandarin. So the one I've got, the one I own, is called English Lavender, and essentially that one smells a little bit like a Lamal clone. Obviously, it's all about this nice creamy lavender in it. Obviously, there's no real surprises, no real secrets in this. It's about lemon and mandarin. Now, if you don't know the English soap company, they're not particularly known for fragrances. They're not particularly a well-known brand in general. They're kind of like a local business, an independent family-run type business. And they obviously do things, as in the name, soap, creams, hand gels, all those sorts of things, which are kind of their main selling point. But obviously fragrances, whenever you're doing any kind of product, any scented type items, you've always got to have a fragrance in your collection as well. And I've been quite impressed with them, particularly how natural they are. They're a vegan-based company, and I think they really promote, again, a little bit like Lush, which is again another sort of vegan-based company. They really promote those real natural oils and just that smell of nature. And again, quite simplistic. Simplicity done well is the best way to describe it. But if you haven't seen my fitness fragrance reviews before, essentially I'm going to do a morning workout. So I'm going to go for a run, walk to the gym, do a gym workout, walk back, or I'll review in this. We'll review it on 5 categories. We'll look at its price, value for money. We'll look at its versatility, so how much you can use it in different situations. We'll look at its projections, how much I'm noticing it during my run. It's certainly a warm one out there today, so it's going to have to work really hard to keep that projection up. Compliment factor, so people say nice things about it. And then also its longevity, where I'll spray miles before I go to the gym. A few hours will go by, obviously walk, workout, shower, and we'll just see a few hours later if we can still detect it without reapplying. So very simple note breakdown. Won't spend too long on that, and I'll just tell you what is in this fragrance. I must mention this again, a lot of modern brands now aren't giving you full note breakdowns. I think in the case of this one, there's only 5 notes that they've actually mentioned here, but I don't think there is particularly anything else in this fragrance. As I just touched on, simplicity done well. Lush are exactly the same. If you look at the ingredients list on the back of like a Lush bottle, you do tend to find there isn't really any additional notes. Maybe there's synthetic molecules in there, but nothing too much more than what you're actually getting. So here in the top, lemon and mandarin. That's pretty obvious, isn't it? Again, it gives this, if I just spray it again, just so I can tell you a general vibe of what it smells like. There is a kind of sharp zestiness coming from the lemon, but actually then when you get into the heart of this fragrance, that softens down. It's not really sharp, really alcoholic, but you go, oh, that's almost too citrusy, too strong. No, it's softened, and I think that's by the orange blossom, which is in the middle of the heart of this fragrance. And that's, of course, working in combination with mandarin. So it's got this kind of orange smell. I think the lemon here, though, oh, I don't know. I think lemon in the opening is certainly the first thing. It is transitioning now, becoming a little bit stronger on a sort of soft orange type smell, and it's very pleasant. And then what we have in the base here, which I think again just ties the fragrance together a little bit more, is a bit of tea. Yes, you don't see tea massively in the base of fragrances. Well, I don't particularly see it, but tea is the note here that's listed. And I'd be lying if I said I particularly pick up any sort of black tea note or anything like that, white tea note. There's nothing there that is particularly strong or prominent to me. It's all about, as the name says, lemon and mandarin, and it's very pleasant. It's very safe, and I can see why this is a hand wash. We've had this before actually, an antibacterial hand wash of this, and that's what prompted my brother, which is this is his fragrance, to buy it as an actual perfume. So I'm going to put a little bit more on, and then we're going to head out for our run, and we'll do the first 2 categories: so price, value for money, and also its versatility. I'll see you out there. And we are off, and it is, for a Monday morning, very quiet around today. There's a few cars on the road, but there is a reason for that. At the time of recording this, last night, I think it kicked off at 2 in the morning. It was England versus Mexico in the World Cup, and I don't think anyone who did stay up for it is going to regret that they did, because it was an absolute classic and England came out on top. But I think for those going to work today, there's going to be a few tired eyes and sore heads, but I'm sure, as I said, nobody who watched it will say they regret doing that. And look, thankfully I am not in this morning, because I am out doing a fitness fragrance review of lemon and mandarin, odour set by the English soap company. And as always, we will start with price value for money. So for a 100ml bottle of this on their website, it is £19.50. If you go on sort of Amazon as well and eBay, a few people are selling it on there as well, and maybe for a little bit cheaper. But it looks like on their website the prices of their fragrances have gone up just ever so slightly. A couple of years ago, I want to say this was £17.50, £18. But again, that's just the cost of living's gone up in general. I don't think we can say that's a negative. And ultimately for their price, as I said, most things have gone up in price, whether that's the cost of food, everything else. I don't think they're ripping anyone off. Now, I think the main thing I always consider when we're looking at the price of value for money of a fragrance is the scent quality. If I was blindfolded, I'd never smelt this before, what price range would I say? I think £40 to £50. I think it's punching well above its weight. And look, there's no complexity in this. There's only 4 or 5 notes to be touched upon. But it's simplicity done well. It feels very much like Lush, where they've kind of gone, look, we're a vegan-based company, we promote being natural and, having the most high-quality oils we can find. And I think they've kind of done that within the sort of price range they're looking at. This isn't as good as an Aqua de Parma type fragrance, but this is easily one that can stand up against some of those designer summer fragrances that a lot of people wear, whether that's in the Dior ranges, some of the blue fragrances. This is just as good. Again, the lemon smells really natural. When I applied this fragrance, there was no real strong alcoholic glass. There's a slight transition from that sort of strong citrus opening to a more soft orange blossom. But other than that, there's nothing too complex. There's nothing really going on here that you go, I've never smelt this before, this is really unique. But if you just want an everyday summer type fragrance that just smells really high quality and natural, it's definitely one you could wear with a fancy shirt on. Definitely one you can dress up if you want to. It's absolutely fine, and you can wear this just as well casually. And even on a run this morning, I'm enjoying it a lot. Where I don't like it is on their website, and obviously we'll touch upon this later on. One of the descriptions they say is a long-lasting fragrance. I don't like it when brands do that, because that's very subjective, what is long-lasting and what is strong and what isn't. So we'll see how that gets on today. But in terms of its price, I cannot fault it. I'd happily pay £10 more for this, so I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. Really good value for money. Hopefully it'll be a little bit stronger than maybe I think it's going to be. But yeah, I'm impressed so far, certainly for that value. Now I must add, I could have easily given a 10 out of 10 there for value for money. However, the reason I didn't is purely on that lack of complexity, that slight lack of complexity where, look, if you've got currently in your collection a generic sort of summer fragrance, maybe a Davidoff Cool Water, more this one offers a kind of more citrusy element, a bit more of a zestiness to it. I don't think it does enough to make me think I have to have this one over anything else. If I've got an £18 to £20 sort of citrus fragrance in my collection already, this doesn't do anything that makes you think, I've got to get this one, because it is so simplistic. There's nothing groundbreaking or unique, and that's the only reason I marked it down a little bit. But let's talk about versatility now, and versatility here, look, it's a huge selling point of any summer fragrance, and the more simplistic the note breakdown, the more versatile it is. Absolutely straight down the middle, unisex, orange and lemon notes, tea note. Tea tends to be more in women's fragrances, I find, than men's, but overall there's nothing in this that's too divisive. There's nothing in it that makes me feel like it's really grown up, really serious. And on the flip side, it doesn't feel really juvenile, synthetic, sort of bubblegummy sweet. It's just got that real balance that works really well for everyone. Touched upon it earlier, you can definitely dress this one up if you want to. You can certainly wear this casually though, getting out for a run. If you're just meeting up with friends, going along the beach for a little walk, a cafe lunch date or something like that, it's absolutely fine. Where I think this one would mark down a little bit for me, and again, we will touch upon this later, I don't want to sort of mix the rounds up too much, is it's not loud. It doesn't feel like a loud fragrance. It's not meant to be a loud fragrance, that's why it's such a simplistic note breakdown. But I do feel like it's missing something there, that it's got the quality to dress up, but I just wouldn't wear it on a networking event or a night out or anything like that, because it's just not going to give that big enough of a punch. I don't think if I sprayed 30, 40, 50 times, that's going to change anything. I just think it's one of those scents that is meant to be a bit softer, but in more intimate settings, I think it's absolutely fine. Small rooms, small offices, I think it's great. It's got signature scent potential. Anyone from any age could wear this, anyone could rock it, and it's not going to feel out of place. So for that reason, I've got to give versatility a really high score. And because I was quite harsh, I marked it down 0.5 when it could have easily got a 10 in the last round. I'm going to give versatility here a 10 out of 10. Would I still maybe want another fragrance to complement this one? For those more statement occasions, like if you're at a big networking event, maybe so. Suit and tie occasions, maybe so. but it's not wrong for those occasions. And I think overall you could just have this as your one do it all fragrance, and there'd be nothing wrong with that. So I'm going to be a bit more generous here. 10 out of 10 for versatility. So there we are, workout done. It is now time to test for projection. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to spray my room 10 times with lemon and mandarin. And essentially what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to see how much the fragrance fills up a room. So if this was a work office, would a colleague notice it? Obviously it's at home, but a family member, a friend, would they notice that there's a fragrance that I'm wearing that's filled up the room? Also going to spray my arms. So as we touched upon earlier, we're going to do a test for longevity. We'll just see essentially, I won't apply the fragrance for the next few hours. It'll be about 12:15 by the time I leave the gym. After I've had my shower, we'll see how much we can still detect the fragrance. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to head downstairs, have a drink, let this fragrance fill up a room, and we'll talk about projection, how much I actually noticed it during my run. Did I notice it more than what I was kind of saying while I was on my workout? Projection then, during my run, how much did I notice lemon and mandarin from the English soap company? Well, I'm going to have to backtrack a bit here and eat humble pie because it wasn't bad at all. Now, it's really warm today, and again, I've said this before, sometimes fragrances can almost like evaporate in the heat. Others do a lot better, and when I changed direction with the wind actually behind me, I really picked up this fragrance. The first time I noticed it, I looked at my watch, it had been an hour and 20 minutes into my run, so I hadn't noticed it with the wind in my face. And then pretty much the whole way back, up until the last kind of 10 minutes, I didn't particularly notice it, and then it felt like it had completely worn off. Didn't even notice it stretching, but it did last. And again, I go back to it, very simple note breakdown. If the oils here weren't good quality, I don't think it would have been noticeable, or it would have been very harsh synthetic. Wasn't like that at all. It was very good, very noticeable, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, probably about 6-7 times I picked up on it, and I'm just purely going on the fact the quality of the oils here is punching above its weight, and that's why I think it's worth more, as I said earlier, than maybe you're paying. But we're going to head upstairs. I'm not convinced it's still going to fill up a room, but yeah, we'll see. It's not really that sort of fragrance, so it may not get the highest score, but may get a little bit higher because it wasn't bad, that projection, during my run. Okay, so in we come whispering because my parents are upstairs. I tell you what, I can smell it very, very slightly, but it's definitely there. It's probably about, let's go over to where I sprayed it, 20 to 30%. Now, of course, I can smell it on me a little bit, and that obviously does mean it feels a bit stronger than maybe it is in terms of in the air. But if you've been sitting in a room for a period of time, people are going to notice this. People certainly next to you, maybe the chair even beyond that person, going to notice you. Certainly in arm's length, I think it would get picked up, and that is not bad for this type of fragrance, for what it's meant to be. They said it was long lasting. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they are a little bit more right than I gave them credit for. But yeah, that isn't bad. That is well above, again, what I'm expecting for projection from this fragrance. So for that reason, and the fact that I'm having to backtrack a bit with my run as well, I'm going to give it an 8. Now, that is definitely higher than it probably should be. It's probably in reality about a 6 in terms of if you're comparing it to like winter fragrances and everything like that. But in terms of a summer fragrance, I think 8 out of 10 is pretty good. I think it's above average for what you're getting with these notes in the fragrance. That's why I've given it the high score. Moving on to compliment factor then for lemon and mandarin. Do I think this one would get you compliments? Well, I'm going to say its simplicity could work both ways. Essentially, it's very easy to pull off. Again, you would have smelled scented candles like this. Obviously, you can get this as a hand wash, as I said, and as a fragrance. There's so many lemon orange combinations of fragrances around that this isn't going to be anything that's particularly groundbreaking. And in some senses, people may not mention it because it is still of a softer edge. It's not like a really heavy cloying fragrance. It's much softer, and you're going to choose to wear it on a hot day where it may not be noticed so much when you're outside meeting up with people. But again, in an indoor office environment, smelling clean, smelling approachable, inoffensive, it's still always the best. You know, that's why these blue fragrances do so well, because they are, alongside the fact they are quite strong, they're versatile, they're inoffensive, they're safe, there's nothing too divisive about them. Now, of course, that can work the other way because it is so simplistic, because it hasn't really got anything groundbreaking about it. Some people may just not mention it. It also just may not pack enough of a punch for people to really go, oh, that smells really nice. I wouldn't say it's anything that's going to leave a really strong lasting memory because it doesn't have any uniqueness, and sometimes to get those real high-end compliments, that's what you need. I think this is going to kind of get more nice comments rather than wow factor, you smell amazing, I must have that. It's just not that type of fragrance. It's not meant to be either. So for that reason, I'm going to knock it down a little bit for compliment factor, but overall it's got a huge mass appeal and it can be used in many situations. So I'm actually going to give it an 8.5. I think if it was just a little bit heavier, maybe if this was like an eau de parfum or pure parfums, if they could somehow make the concentration even stronger, I probably would have bumped it up to a 9, maybe a 9.5. But of course, if we do get into the gym today, we would bump it up to a 10. Wow, I tell you what, it has really warmed up. I mean, it was about 18, 19 Celsius when I went for my run this morning. It's about 28, 29 Celsius now. It is scorching, which is perfect for the summer fragrance I'm wearing today, lemon and mandarin. But has it survived? It's been over 3 hours since I applied it before I went to the gym. I've obviously had a shower since and done another workout. I don't know, I'm not sure it's going to do that well here, but let's give it a smell. Okay, yes. So if I'm being honest, it's probably no more than 10-20% as strong as when I applied it a few hours ago. And of course, if I was on my lunch break now, if I was at work or if I was in the office or whatever, even just at home on a hot day, I definitely want to reapply this. But again, as we said earlier on, there's 5 notes in this and they're all essentially top notes in most fragrances. Obviously, we've got tea in the base here, and that's not a particularly heavy note either. And yeah, it's pretty faint, but the fact it's held on even at all, I actually think it's a positive. Look, is it going to be one that I go, yeah, go get it because the longevity is amazing? No, but it has held on a bit, and I go back to, I think that is purely due to the quality of the oils. This isn't complex fragrance, it's very simplistic, and I wouldn't have been surprised if I didn't smell it at all. But there is still something there. It's very much so only me can smell it. You know, I'm going to have to bury my nose into my arm to even pick up anything. So it's going to definitely be one you want to reapply, and hopefully they can kind of release this as almost like a parfum or an eau de parfum version, and I would be impressed. But yeah, overall, 10-20% are strong. Definitely looking forward to putting a little bit more on when I get home. So I'm going to give a score for longevity. We'll go 6 out of 10 again. If I was comparing it to some of the winter fragrances and some of the other reviews I've done, it'd probably be down to a 3 or a 4. But compared to some other summer fragrances, this isn't too bad. It could have been a lot worse. And when you're paying, and I know I don't want to overlap the rounds too much, but when you're paying £20, I don't think you can expect too much in terms of longevity. So yeah, 6 out of 10. And of course, it is very wearable for a day like today. Even if it is a hot day, this is the sort of fragrance you'd want to put on. It's never going to become cloying, and that can be a negative in its own right. If it's a really strong, heavy fragrance, you don't always want great longevity, so it's absolutely fine. Obviously, if I hadn't had a shower as well and it was just in a climate controlled environment today, I'm sure it would have packed a bit more of a punch, maybe 30, 40, 50% as strong. So yeah, 6 out of 10 I think is a fair score. But when we head back, we will count up all the scores and I'll give my overall thoughts. And we are back. Yes, workout done. I've spent the whole day in sunglasses. I forgot to change them when I got to the gym, so everything's felt a bit pitch black today. But something that's certainly bright is this fragrance here. It's Lemon and Mandarin by the English Soap Company. So what was the total score that this fragrance got during my workout today based on the 5 rounds we looked at? So it's done really well. It's done 42 out of 50. That is a massive score. Now, based on that, you'll probably expect me now to say, you need to get this one. I really highly recommend it. And look, while I think it's a fantastic fragrance, it's very nice, it's very pleasant, I don't think I necessarily would say I recommend it or necessarily say you need to get this one. It's so simplistic, but that is its strength. You know, look, it's really high quality natural oils. But if you're looking for something a little bit different in terms of from a summer fragrance, I'm not sure this is it. This for me is a little bit of like a, I think it's hard to say it's a dumb reach, but it's safe, it's soft, it's safe, approachable, and it's just uplifting. And it's not really meant to be a statement sort of fragrance. It's just an everyday nice soft citrus, and that is what it is. And it ticks those boxes well. And based on, of course, the 5 rounds I'm looking at today, that's why it gets a high score. And the main things it did really well on ultimately today was its versatility and its price. I think the quality of the scent is certainly punching above its weight. I think you could pay £35-40 for this. And again, it's because it is so simplistic. There's only 5 notes listed. You can wear it in many different situations. The areas where it fell down a little bit today, mainly that longevity and projection, but that is expected with this type of fragrance. Like, I probably was a little bit generous with those scores today, but that is because it's a summer fragrance. If I was comparing it to winter fragrances, those heavier, sweeter type notes, then yes, it would have scored a lot lower. So I'm kind of in that zone of, I don't particularly necessarily say you need to get this one. There's nothing groundbreaking about it, But if you want something safe, which is this exactly is, then it's great. It's perfect for those jobs. It'll do everything you want. And I'd pretty much say you may not necessarily love this one. I think you do very well to hate it though, because it is just, it's every day, easy to pull off. And that is, yeah, probably the message I've said a load of times over the course of this video. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed this one today. The other fitness rated for you coming up soon as well. I know my brother's got another one which I haven't done yet, which I'm looking forward to reviewing. That will be a sweeter one. So yeah, looking forward to doing that. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.